Okay, welcome back for video number 7. This video here, we are going to be adding a logo cutout on the front of here. Now, in order to do this, you're going to need to choose one of the pictures that I've put onto the website, and you're going to want to pick one of those that you want to do. Now, if you want to do one on each side, you can go ahead and you can do extra and do one on each side, but I'm going to show you how to just make this one here in particular. So, once you've downloaded whichever image you want, you're going to need to press Insert and go to Canvas. You're then going to need to go to Insert from My Computer, and you're going to need to navigate to wherever you've got those logos or logo. So you can select any one of these four, hopefully. I'm going to do this one because it shows all the different things I need to show you, and we're going to click Open. It's then going to ask you where you want to open this. Now, the temptation is to click this surface here. Don't do that, because we want to put it on this part, because whatever we draw here is what we're going to cut out with the laser cutter. If we put it on here and then extrude it through to cut it through, that will work for the purposes of looking at Fusion, but it will be missing from our sketch over here. So I'm going to press on this surface here on my orbit, on my origins cube, this one here which we pressed on at the start, and that's going to put it on there. Now, this little square in the middle will allow you to slide it around and move it to where you want. So what I suggest at this point here is that you use the orbit cube up in the corner and press on top, and then you use the arrows to rotate it round the right way, so that this front part of your box is the right way up. At this point here, you can move this around to a position that you like. You can rotate it round. Now, I highly recommend having it at 90 degrees because we're going to want to draw a line down the middle in a minute. If you want to do it wonky, that's okay. It'll just be slightly harder to draw the line down the middle. So for this one, I like putting it in the corner. I think it looks nice in the corner. If you wanted to put it dead center, you might have to draw it and then move it afterwards. To size it, we want to use this one here. Don't use this one because it will this one because it will stretch it, and I don't want it to be stretched. Okay, so, and I don't think there's a back button, so I'm gonna have to do that all over again. And there it is. And let's make this a little bit bigger. Yeah, I'll make it really big this time. Maybe not that big. Position it where you want it and press the OK button. Now, normally at this point here, we'd go to the sketch and we would edit the sketch because we want it all on one sketch. But we've only just put the canvas in. And if we go to the edit the sketch, this little time bar will go backwards to when we first made that sketch, and our canvas will disappear. And now we have no canvas to copy. Now, to rectify this, it's pretty simple. What we can actually do is find the canvas in the bar here, and we can say no, and click and hold it. Make sure this little line comes up, and you'll be able to slide it all the way back to before you made the sketch. Nothing will appear to change, but what you've now done is, for Fusion's sake, this canvas was put in before this sketch existed. And now if we go to the sketch and we click Edit Sketch, the canvas is still in. And that's going to be really important for us. So let's rotate this round so it's the right way up. Let's zoom in and let's make sure that we're happy with the position. If you're not happy with the position, go back and move it again. I think if you go back and move it though, the sketch will disappear, so you might need to move it forward in the timeline if you're not happy with the position at this point. Now, the first thing you'll notice about this logo and all of the other logos I put in is that they're symmetrical, which means the left side is the same as the right side. And that's not an accident. What I wanted to show you was the mirror tool, and we could have actually used the mirror tool on a lot of what we drew here, because a lot of what we've drawn is symmetrical. So we could have put a mirror line in here and only drawn half of this and mirrored it. we actually could have put 2 mirror lines in, and we could have mirrored it this way and then that way. But that's very confusing. So we're just going to make it nice and simple for this logo. First thing I want is I want a mirror line. So I'm going to press the line tool, and I want my line to go exactly over the top of this point and go straight down. Now if you picked one of the other logos, the way you do this might be slightly different, but you just want to line it up nicely. Now I'm going to zoom right in and get as close as possible to lining that up perfectly, and I actually want it to be slightly above, so I'm going to click there. Now if this is at 90 degrees, I don't need to worry about this, it will go straight down the middle. If you angled it, you're going to have to angle your line so it goes straight down the middle, but mine is nice and easy, it's going to go straight down the middle there. Now I only really need to draw one side, so I'm going to choose this side because I'm going to mirror everything later. The first thing I can see is that I've got a circle here. This edge here is part of a circle. So all I really need to do is draw one big circle and then trim it down smaller. Now the temptation is to use the center point circle, and you would assume that the center point would be somewhere on this line and it would be nearish the middle, and you now have to guess exactly where the center of that circle is. Now sometimes I'm good at this, sometimes I'm bad at this, but you're looking at the point that's the furthest out here, which does look like it's roughly in the center here. So you can see I've got that pretty close, but it's not exact. It's only exact on one side. So this isn't exactly perfect, and this isn't the best tool for the job. In fact, the tool I want to use is the circle tool, but the 3-point circle tool. This is a really great tool for copying curves. All I need to do now is click 3 points in a row that are on the edge of my curve. So you can zoom in and try and get this as accurate as possible. I'm going to go 1, 2, and now you can see that I've got this varying size circle. And if I trace this round all the way around this edge, you can see I can snap it on and get almost exactly what I need. And I can put this anywhere, and I can try and get that as close as possible to the circle that I want to match. And you can see it is still slightly out on the other side, but that's okay. Maybe this logo isn't 100% symmetrical. Next, I'm going to put this point in, so I'm just going to use a straight up line tool. I'm going to go to the top here, I'm going to line it up. You can actually see that my center line is slightly over to the right. That might be why my circle isn't exactly lining up. And I'm going to overshoot this line a little bit. I'm going to go too far. And again, you can see that there's a slight gap here compared to here, but it's close enough for what we're going for. And there we go. Next, I'm going to want this curve, and I'm going to use that 3-point circle. There are other options, but I think the 3-point circle works really well, and I don't need to snap it onto here. I can go anywhere along here I like. I'm trying to avoid any of these blue lines that come up to snap onto things. I want it to just use the points where I'm clicking. So there, and I'm not even going to pay attention to the circle. I'm just going to snap it onto the curve, and you can see it's nicely following that. Same thing again. I'm going to go there, and there. And as long as this curve is part of a circle, it will fit perfectly. Now if this curve was drawn with like a spline tool, then this curve can change and it's not going to be part of a circle, it's going to be a random curve. But most of the ones in this design are perfect curves. With that done, things are starting to look a little bit messy, so I'm going to use the trim tool and I'm going to trim away the bits I don't want. So I can't trim this one yet, but I can trim this circle. I don't need that line there, I don't need that bit, I don't need that bit. I don't need this bit, I don't need this bit, I don't need this bit, and I don't need this bit. So now I've got my line coming down here and across and round and down. Now this one's the tricky one. I've got this line that comes down, round, up and back to this point, and obviously you can see that's not a circle. That is what I was talking about when I was talking about the spline tool. Now this looks like it could be an ellipse or an oval, and there are some ellipse and oval tools. You have to find the middle of the oval and then go up at an angle and click here, and then you need to stretch it out. Now you can see it's not reaching the other side on the other side already, so I've not done a great job of finding the middle. Even if I do a good job of guessing the middle like we were earlier, I tried this earlier, it's not a perfect oval, so the oval tool's not great for this. For this, what I'm going to use is the spline tool, and the trick with the spline tool is you want to keep the points that you're putting down like this as far away as possible from each other as you're putting them down. So as far away as possible, and for it to still match the line underneath. What you can be mistaken for doing is zooming right in and doing lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of points. But what you're actually going to be doing is what you can see here is it's going to be going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. It's going to give you a very bumpy edge. We want a nice smooth edge, so we want to put these as far apart as possible as we can. Now to start, I'm going to start by imagining this curve keeping on going, and I'm actually going to start from a little bit further away. And then I'm going to hit that point there, which I want to make sure I get, and then I'm going to keep going from that point. So let's grab the spline tool and give this a go. Now this doesn't always work perfectly. It can be a bit tricky, and I've had to do these several times before, but here we go. So this point here, you can see I'm starting to come away from that edge of the line. Here it's easy, I can hit that line easily, so it's somewhere here. That's about as far as I can go, so I'm going to go there. I'm then going to stretch it as far as I can, and that's the point where it's as far as it can go. Again, I can get quite far with this one. There. Did come off slightly up here, which I'm not that happy about. And this one here is going to have to be a bit longer. Now sometimes you'll think, oh, it's not hitting the line, I better go back, and it will come even worse. Sometimes you've got to go past a point and actually go a lot further than you think, and then come back slowly. Get that lined up. This one here is the opposite. It doesn't matter how far I stretch this, it's not going to hit that line. I'm going to come right back, right back, right back, right back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a bit of a misclick here. I'm going to miss my point. I'm going to go, you can see just there, it would be fine. But what might happen is you might click and you're like, oh no. If you cancel at this point, you'll have to redraw the whole thing. So if this is right at the end here, this can be a real nightmare. If you miss by a little bit, just keep going and just make the next point not too far away, and then carry on as you were. What we'll be able to do is we'll be able to go back later on and we'll be able to straighten some of these up. So if they didn't quite work quite right, you can actually go back and edit them. And they're pretty easy to edit. You have to be careful not to get into the trap of over editing them, because then your curve will go very wonky and not very nice. So there we go, that's the point I want to stop, and you'll see that it hasn't stopped. Now what I've done occasionally is press the return key, and that will put another point down, and worse still, I've pressed the escape key, and that actually cancels the whole thing and you lose everything. What you're best off doing is hovering over this little tick and clicking on this little tick, and that will place it all in for you. At this point you can see all our points. The black points were the points that we're putting in, and then the green points adjust the curve. Now if you adjust the green points, that's where things can go very wrong. What we want to do is only adjust these black points. So I'm going to press escape, I'm going to hover over, I'm going to grab that point there, and I'm just going to move it ever so slightly over, and you can see that's fixed my issue there. This one you can see as well isn't quite right, so I'm going to pull that and move that down, and now you can see that line is pretty much exactly on that line all the way around. So from there I'm going to press the T button for trim. I'm going to trim this point and this point off, and I've now got all of that. I don't need this bit here, I don't need this bit here, and I also don't need that little bit in there. So this should go all the way around to here. Now, because I overshot these lines, what I should be able to do is double click this line and it should select all of it for me. There we go, but not the middle line. Now I can go up to the mirror tool, press mirror, objects to mirror, 6 selected, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mirror line, click on this, there's my mirror line there. It mirrors it across to the side, and I press OK, and I've got the whole logo in. Now you'll notice a lot of these symbols, this is the mirror symbol, and again, just like the pattern tool, it's being driven off of this line. If I delete this line, I'll delete the fact that this is a mirror, and this side will now be independent. But if I keep that mirror line in, if I were to edit this, if I were to move this point, it will move over here as well, because it will continue to be mirrored. So you can see I can move that around, and it does some very weird and strange things. Probably not what I want. So let's press the back button and put it back nicely. If I delete that mirror line, I can move this point and it won't move the other side. Because we're going to cut this out, this mirror line actually won't be an issue, because it would just cut this piece into 2 pieces, which wouldn't be a problem because this is going to be a hole. So I could actually leave this mirror line in if I wanted to. What I would suggest is when you're drawing is to leave things like this in until the very last point, and to only delete them right at the end. So I know that I like this. I'm going to press delete, and I'm going to press finish sketch. I'm also going to use this button here to hide the canvas, to have a look at what I've drawn. I'm happy with what I've drawn. I probably should have done that before I deleted the line to make sure I was happy with it, but at this point I'm within reach of the undo button. With that all done, let's hide the canvas. Let's go back to that extrude, right click, edit feature, select my closed loop, which now says, oh, I don't want to extrude that bit. OK, and that will have updated that, hopefully, onto the front. And there it is. An interesting point, which I've only found out recently, is you can actually edit these points when you're not even editing the sketch. So if I click on one of these points, I can edit it, and it will actually live update what's on here as well. So you can see if I grab this point here and I stretch it, it will change what's on here. Now what I've done is I've actually ended up breaking this apart, so it's not a closed loop, so it won't do the extrude. But if I grab a point that doesn't do that, like this bit, it should update, and then we got that wiggle on there now. I think it's because this is where the 2 points join, so this one you can see will do all sorts of crazy things. We don't want to do that though. We want to keep it nice and neat. So there we have it, folks. Sorry that last one of putting the logo on took quite a long time. If you want to go to design and render, you can use this option here for the color wheel, and you can have a little look at these various options here. I'm currently in the plastics option, and I've gone down to the translucent, and you can simply drag and drop these on and it will change the colors of things for you. You can see that one changed everything. If I want to change just one thing at a time, let's grab the blue. I can change just the blue side, and if I can just select the blue side, the right side, it will change just that one. There we go. If you could then hide the sketch so we can't see the sketch, and have just your cactus holder in a nice position here, and take a full screenshot of that, and we'll talk about the render option later. Thank you very much, and well done. Oh, almost forgot, don't forget to press the save button. It won't save unless you press the save button. Goodbye.